Welcome back to Kingdom Cast. This show host Super Champ Chuck. We back at it with another episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share all your social media platforms. We are now getting close to being 2 weeks away from the 2023 NFL Draft here in Kansas City, down at Union Station. But before we get into all that, I'd like to introduce everybody on the screen here. My guy Country's on the left side of the screen, where I normally be at. But he got that spot for today, so we'll let him have it. And we bring back a great special guest here, Ryan Tracy of RGR Football. He's back on Kingdom Cast. How you doing, sir?
I'm hanging in. How are you guys been?
Good,
Great,
man. Good.
Oh, it's a fun time of year, right?
Last time you came through, you bumped our subscribers up tremendously. So we just praying for the same luck.
Well, cheers. Everybody, you see this, go subscribe again, will you?
Thank you. Ryan, I think we've been starting these draft shows off the same way. The draft is in Kansas City, Missouri. Have you fully wrapped your mind around it? Is it still real?
Nope.
Everybody says the same thing. It's not real yet.
Till I'm standing in front of the stage and I actually hear the boos when Goodell comes out, it's not going to be real.
It's in Kansas City, man. It's really in Kansas City. The report is going around and it's going to bring over $100 million to the city, which is we need every penny. We got some terrible highways, terrible potholes.
Good Lord.
Right.
Shout out to Mayor Quentin Lucas. You're doing a wonderful job, but $100 is really gone. $100 million. But okay, so we've been talking about we're 2 weeks into the draft coverage. We've talked about the major players, Felix and Quentin Jefferson and Zay Flowers.
Yeah, Quentin Johnson.
I wanted to discuss with you some gems. Let's look at this. I know everybody's looking at this guy, but let's look at this guy. I know you got a list of some of those guys.
I got a few. I'm pretty sure. Remember them all is the problem this time of year for me, right? So
Right.
I'm about 250 prospects in, and now the names are starting to run together. What's up, Jeremy?
Hey, how you doing, Jeremy?
Hey, Jeremy.
So who are some of the let's go position in.
Okay.
Let's go wide receiver. Who's a guy? I haven't heard his name a lot. It's starting to creep up around, but I like Marvin Mims. Am I crazy for that?
No, not at all.
No.
The thing about Marvin is just where, right? I don't have him as a first round grade, but like
Right.
if you're getting squirrely, at 63, certainly I think you can go there. Can you move up a little bit if you want to? Sure. Especially if you get caught in a situation in the first that you're not happy with and you move back, 50s, you could certainly go too, right? It's about usage. And I do think there's some creative ways to use him. Mahomes is down in Texas right now with everybody and his brother who's got a chance to make this roster right now. Why not keep adding that? Everybody's got a trait that I think the Chiefs can kind of tweeze a little bit more out of, right? So let's add him to the mix. I'm certainly with him there. I do like him. I like Perry a lot. A lot of folks are huge on Tillman out of Tennessee, and I do like him. I think Perry's got a little bit extra juice over the top. You know what I mean? And I'm looking for some of that. I know we've seen them win a championship with, a group and not a wide receiver, like number one talent, right? So I'm looking to find that guy that maybe might be the number one talent, because I think there'll be some opportunity in the first round at a wide receiver, but I only have 2 first round grades on wide receivers, and Quentin isn't one of them. So he might even be there, and they might go that direction. I might be unhappy. I've been unhappy before, and I'll live. But I think there's going to be opportunity in the second and third at the wide receiver spot that maybe you can sell out to get that tackle or that edge that you want in the first.
Yeah, and I just watched that episode recently with you and Dan, and you guys are doing Q&A and stuff. And I think I can't remember which one of y'all said you only got one receiver as a first round grade. And I think it was Jackson Smith-Njigba, and everybody was like a second round and below.
Yeah, Dan's got one. I've got 2. And Jordan Addison started really high for me, and he's slowly ticked down because when you put all the comparisons, I think Jordan can do everything in this offense, and I think that's his advantage. I think that's why he deserves to be in the first round, especially in the read offense where you got to come and learn 3 positions all at once. I think Jordan's shown that he's got the mental capacity to do that. Was he as good with Williams at SC? I think you can argue he wasn't. Okay, fine. I think that's more about the quarterback-wide receiver connection than it is about the wide receiver not doing his job or anything like that. The Blitnikoff winner that was at Pitt, I still see him sometimes. And so I do feel that, like, if he gets into this offense with this quarterback and this coach and guys that are hungry, Kadarius Toney's got something to prove, right? MVS wants to keep a job. He's hungry too. Like, I think that all helps. And I do think that Jordan Addison, if he were to drift all the way down to 31, that he could fit in this offense and bring something to it that is similar, because he's 5'11 and a half. So, like, he's right in that size range, right? But he's smooth and he understands how to attack defenses, not just a defender, but attack defenses. And I think that's important when we talk about what the Chiefs offense has to go to.
What's the kid from Chuck? What's the kid from LSU who was hyped and then his hype kind of just faded away completely? Boodle?
Yeah, Kayshon Boutte.
What happened to him? Was it injuries? I don't watch a lot of college football. I'm just really curious. I know his pro day and all that was horrendous. It's why did he fall so far?
Chuck, you might have your own opinion. I want to hear what you said before I say something rude.
Yeah, here's the thing with Kayshon, right? Okay, after the first year at LSU, right? He had a spectacular year. He put up numbers and all that, and then I think he got hurt. Coming back from injury, he just wasn't the same guy. And then he kind of had some issues with, maybe the coaching staff and whatnot. He wasn't putting in the effort like how he normally was, so he might have some character issues and whatnot. He had the physical traits, but yeah, he's pretty much a wild card in this draft class.
It's a good way to put him. That's exactly what I said. Like, he started reading his own press and decided he didn't have to do nothing anymore, right? Like, the work fell off from what I've heard. It became more about, hey, I'm the guy. I deserve X, Y, and Z. And it's like, you still got to exploit the defense and show why you're the guy. And that didn't happen for that staff. And that's always tough especially when you're in a program and then a new guy comes in, especially a guy who thinks he can talk with a Southern accent and he can't. So I can understand not wanting to play that hard for that dude, but whatever happens. But I do think he still has potential. He's going to be a value pick now because he's going to go in the 4th or 5th round, maybe. And now you bring him onto a roster where he's not the top dog and he got to fight for his spot. Maybe that Tiger comes back out. And I ran into a bunch of folks, a huge family of folks, Tiger fans, the other day, and they're all about the Chiefs. And I enjoyed that because I do like the fit before all the trouble, like just his play on the field. I thought that he could come in and play a position that helps, like with a thick body that can play inside of the slot. Sounds a lot like Juju, right? So, like, if he can put it back together, I can get down with that.
We love some LSU boys.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Chiefs how many times have we dipped into the LSU well? We've dipped into that well a lot. Yeah, defensively and offensively, we dipped into there. Shout out to Dwayne Bowe.
Yep. And I just want to ask you this, Ryan. Speaking of LSU guys, okay, this was a question I ran across on the timeline. Yeah, shout out to you, Brent. Appreciate it. This is a question I ran across on the timeline earlier today. This is from my guy, Braden Turner. Braden, if you're watching this, I'm not trying to steal your question. I thought it was a great question. So, Ryan, throughout your time, covering the draft, looking at these prospects throughout the years and stuff, what's the one draft pick you were sold on with the Chiefs that didn't quite pan out?
The draft pick that I thought was going to be the player and wasn't. That's a good one. I'm usually a pessimist, so usually guys outplay what I think. Let's see. Who was the kid? The big receiver from Pitt, John.
John Baldwin.
I thought Baldwin was going to be solid. I didn't think he was going to be all world, but I thought he had the tools, and I thought he was going to put it together. I was clearly wrong.
Oh, can I volunteer Glenn Dorsey? I thought Glenn Dorsey was going to be nice.
Speaking of LSU Tigers, I was disappointed. In fact, I got a video. My kids were little, right? And so I got girls. And we've watched the draft, the first round selection for the Chiefs every year together as they've been growing up. And I'm holding these two babies as they're making that selection. And I'm going from smiling to, you did what? And that was literally my reaction to the Glenn Dorsey pick. And it will always be in the family photo album, I'll tell you that.
Speaking of that, they had a report about the Cardinals. Robert Indenici, what was his name?
Indici?
I can't. I ain't gonna even try to pronounce his name. Who was heavily mocked to the Chiefs that year, and then the owner came out and said he doesn't love football, which is I'm like, he wasn't looked at by the Chiefs if he doesn't love football. If you don't love football, you're off their draft board, in my opinion. I think you're off their draft board if you do not love football. We talked about with Dan that there's not necessarily a concrete formula, but Brett Veach does love. If you participated in a Senior Bowl, then I think you got eyes on you. And I think if you're a small school kid, HBCUs, smaller schools, I think you're on the board too. Any of those? He had blue lips. It just threw me off. I'm sorry. Any guys that fit that criteria that you would be interested in?
Yeah, I mean, there's always some out there. I have trouble right now just because most of those picks, even the Tyreek pick, caught me off guard. The Chiefs generally select at least one guy that I haven't watched every year. As much work as I do, I never do enough work to keep up with them. So that's kind of what I'm waiting for. I got lucky because I had watched Josh Williams last year before. I guess it's not a small school, but it's not a football school. I think the Princeton wide receiver might be a guy I think might be able to mold into something they can use. So if I had to pick one, that's probably it, but you never know.
Yeah. And go ahead, Country. My fault.
Go ahead, Chuck.
Okay. All right. So since we're talking about wide receivers, right? I'm sure you heard the news about Odell Beckham Jr. signing with the Baltimore Ravens, right? Okay. So you see the numbers. He can get up to 18 million, but he got 15 million guaranteed. His cap is only 1 million. All right. So does this affect anything as far as the Chiefs acquiring DeAndre Hopkins, or you more so like they're not even going to touch on that? They're going to go into the draft and try to build that way.
I don't think it has anything to do with D-Hop at all. I think D-Hop and OBJ are completely different players. And I will tell you this. I think what that deal tells you is that unlike, like you're saying, Country, the Chiefs have things that they want. They're looking for guys that want to fit into this team and fit into this culture. I'm not sure that was ever OBJ. So that contract tells me OBJ is looking for OBJ. The fact that they don't have a quarterback that wants to come to the office right now in Baltimore and he's still willing to go sign there tells me that it's the paycheck that he's looking for, not the ring. And so I think the opposite is the case with D-Hop. I think he's put in his time on bad teams year after year after year. And they cut him loose, and he's going to be able to decide where he goes to chase that ring. And I think that's going to be not only a good thing for him because I think he deserves it, but I think it's also going to be a short list that the Chiefs are on.
Yeah, and the Chiefs are on a short list last time I checked. So,
how many spots do you think it is at the wide receiver, in the wide receiver room, as currently constructed? How many actual spots, do you think are open?
That's a great question. I know the top three are gone, and I have
you, Ryan.
Hey, this is why you're in charge, man. I tell you, I think there's probably three up for grabs right now. I do think they're encouraged by some of their free agent signings. I think Smith Marset is a really interesting player. I think it's about adaptation, right? There were a couple of guys. I don't think that MVS and Mahomes' chemistry on field last year showed us that they were like super clicking, right? Like they had some chemistry, but it wasn't excellent, right? Whereas Justin Watson come in, I didn't even think he was going to make the roster because of what I'd seen in Tampa Bay, but it clicked more for him. At least it seemed to me. So I think right now it's kind of wide open. What's going on in Texas right now, if Justin Ross is actually healthy, which has been my only concern about him the entire time, is can he be and stay healthy? Those guys are clicking. Maybe one of those guys can take 4. Maybe they can take 5. Maybe there's only one spot for a draft pick on that wide receiver group, and we just don't know yet because it's just Patrick down in the Texas Heat trying to figure it out right now.
Yeah, I remember last time you was on our show, you had mentioned that you had a first-round grade on Justin Ross. before the injuries and whatnot.
Yep.
So
He was my wide receiver one for 2 years, and he just didn't come out either of those years, and then he got hurt, and that's the saddest part of the story.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I want to go to the trenches now. So I want to ask you about Blake Freeland. He's a BYU guy. Andy Reid, he loves BYU guys. So I know he's athletic, he's agile. So I mean, what do you think of Blake Freeland? Blake Freeland, is that a high possible draft pick for the Chiefs? Since he kind of fits that Andy Reid mold? Yeah.
He definitely fits the Andy Reid mold. He's got the right logo on his chest on the college film, so Andy will like him. Right. High pick? No. He's not a first rounder, and I don't think that there's any way. I've been wrong.
First rounder, no. First rounder, no. I'm not talking like that, no.
Yeah, okay. Definitely third tierish. Yes, I think he could be somebody on day two. I don't know if he could go 63, maybe. I think he's a little lower than that. At least he is on my board. They might have him higher, but certainly there's going to be an opportunity for him. And honestly, he fits a lot of it. And I don't know what you guys think, but the Juwan Taylor signing tells me that the experiment of power-based blocking tackles is over, and we're going back to guys that can move again. And I think Blake Freeland actually reminds me of Fish, because he's got some upper body strength issues. He's got to get stronger, but he moves really well. He plays a little bit out of balance at times, but if he can get a little bit more power in his posterior hamstrings and butt, like, he's going to be a guy that can sustain a little bit more bull rush and not get off balance. And I do think he's a guy that Andy Heck in particular is going to look at and say, hey, I can make him into what I need him to be for us. So I do think he is definitely on the radar.
On your mock draft, you went with DeJuan James. Was that a difficult decision, or was he the best? Was he best available?
That was not my mock draft. That's Matt Derrick's over on Chiefs Digest. You guys can go check that out. And Matt goes through it because I won't draft DeJuan Jones. DeJuan Jones is Orlando Brown and a right tackle, and I ain't doing it. I'm done.
Yeah, I was like, no way, that's his mock draft, because I could have swore I heard Ryan said that he's not high on DeJuan Jones.
No.
Okay, maybe I read the tweet wrong. I thought.
No. I tweeted out because Matt and I work together, and so sometimes it'll look like it's tweeting the article. Yeah, okay. I didn't write it.
I was like, I swear I saw that, right? So, you're out on DeJuan James, or what is his name? DeJuan Jones. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, meaning in the first round. Yeah, I'm out on him. If he slips and falls, he's got great power. He's got great length. He can withstand anybody's bull rush. I don't care if it's Bosa or anybody else. He can withstand that, but he can't move his feet any better than Orlando can, and that's what I'm just checked out on. And I think the Chiefs might be too because of the Juwan move.
Did you see DeJuan Taylor's workout video today?
I did not.
He got some nice feet. They're quick.
It's funny. You go back and you look at his draft write-up I did before he came out. I said the guy's got a lot of experience at the right-hand side, but he's got the feet and lower body extremities that he can move, extend, and play on the left-hand side. And now he's finally going to get that opportunity if it works out right.
Okay, so we got a question about Broderick Jones. What do you think about him?
I don't know. John must be logging in to somebody else, because Broderick Jones is my guy. Like, I've been pushing for him all offseason. And it goes all the way back to, what was it, the first game, Oregon? They smashed dudes. And I'm tired. I'm sick and tired of waiting for it to happen. And I want a dude that doesn't know any better. Broderick has some holes. He's got to work on some things. Balancing in particular is one. Making sure that he can set his anchor a little bit quicker, because he is a good athlete, but he's a little slow to understand when he is in trouble, at least from the film that I've seen. So he's got some things to work on. But dude, he will finish you. And I want that kind of that anger combined with the athleticism. I think he's got the highest ceiling of a tackle in this entire class. He's not the highest floor. I think Paris is a little bit more polished right now, and Skoronski is certainly the most knowledgeable and agile tackle in this class in terms of understanding what he's got to do to get that rep one. But I think Broderick has the highest upside.
He got a little Trey Smith in him, huh?
What's that?
He got a little Trey Smith in him, huh?
Yeah, and I'll take it all day long and twice on Sunday.
Yeah, so where you at on Broderick Jones? Like, I mean, where you have, do you have like top 3 or?
He's my tackle 1.
Okay.
period, because I have Skoronski listed as a guard. I think he'll be better inside. So take that away. And I'll take Broderick and his holes over Paris's inability really to deal with a lot of power, which I think he's going to get in the league. So they're different players, and they're very close in terms of grade for me. They're less than a 10th on an 8-point scale, but I do have Broderick as tackle 1.
Okay, so like, what are some under the radar guys for you in the trenches on the offensive line? Somebody that could be a possible fit here in Kansas City for some depth.
I like both the other guys that play opposite of Anton Harrison, and Harrison's an option. He's my 5th tackle. So if the run goes, he could be there at 31. He's been very popular in mocks. I don't think the league is as high on him as media is, so he could be there at 31. But Wanya Morris plays opposite him on the right-hand side, and I think he's got a lot of talent as well. Warren McClendon plays opposite Broderick Jones. So 2 right tackles that I think have enough mix and enough footwork that they could be maybe a year out. They're not instant starters, but I think that they could develop into them. I like both those guys. Bergeron's a little tough for me because I think he could be better at guard as well, which if we're getting serious about that, Joe Tooney's getting a year older. Like, they come back in the 3rd and they want to prepare for the future. I don't know if Darren Kennard's going to stick at guard. I think that's where he belongs, but I'm not sure he's got the mentality for it. So we're going to have to see, right? And so we're talking about Allegretti getting older and the other interior backups getting older. Maybe you want to invest on another interior player you think can grow into a starter. So he could be a guy. Who else? There's lots of tackles. I think I did 24 tackles. I love Darnell Wright. I'm just going to tell you, he's a nice mixture. He's not as athletic as Broderick or Paris, right? But he's got way better feet than Dwan at nearly the same size and reach. And I love that about him. I think he can play on the other side if he really had to as well. So you could always go that direction. Who's my other guy? There's one more that I'm not remembering right now. Where did he go? Oh, you mentioned Freeland. It's Braden Daniels, the Utah tackle, who's very, very athletic, has a great reach as well. He needs time. And quite frankly, he needs to get stronger as well. But I think he could be a 3rd round, maybe even a 4th round, 5th round pick that could come in and be what maybe everyone hoped Prince Tegonaga could turn into. I think he has the ability to get there.
Okay, I'm going to ask you about the future. Since you did mention the future, you just mentioned Darren Kennard, and you say he may not have the mentality to take over at right guard in the future. Let's just say, like, if we're unable to retain Trey Smith, because, I mean, we do got a lot of good young guys, and there are just tough decisions that have to be made and everything. So if we run into that situation where we might not be able to keep Trey Smith once his rookie contract is up, you're not that sold on Kennard to, take over per se? Or just
I can't be yet. Give him credit. I think he's done a good job getting in better shape. From what we saw at the Super Bowl, it looks like he's lost some good weight. Some bad weight and put on some good weight. But the key for Darian, much like it is for DeJuan Jones in this draft, is his feet. He's got to improve his feet. Trey improved his feet when he got here. And I think that's the big deal. I think what you get there is it's about want to, and it's about giving up on being a tackle and understanding it's a different skill set inside in the phone booth. You got to be quicker off your initial go. It's not just getting depth. You're not kick stepping back to oblivion, right? Like, you got to come with power. You got to be able to step down. You got to be able to reach. And that's a different skill set. And I think it's something he can grow into. But because we haven't seen him on the field, we just don't know yet. So I'm hoping he's like one of those sophomore sensations, right? That he's been working his butt off in the background, and he shows up at camp and just starts blowing guys up. And I think that'd be a great thing to see.
Yeah, and
he also looked like he got that mentality that last year probably pissed him off, and I like that. Yeah, I think he got that in his head, so he probably gonna think about that rookie year for the rest of his career.
Yeah, and to answer your question, John, yes, of course. They were college teammates, so yeah, definitely.
Honestly, they play with power and they play with length and they play together pretty well. So yeah, I like that connection. I think it's underrated in the league because everybody's so busy scouting all over the place. I do like that synergy of having guys who played together in the past come back. I'm gonna be really interested to see what this does with Richie coming in and playing with Kadarius. Like, they both left the Giants organization, and I wonder if that can like become more than it seems like on its surface.
Okay, so where you at with Richie James anyway? Like, um, is he going to get a little bit of a more of a role than just special teams, or is he just a special teams guy right now, just based on this current receiving core right now?
I mean, right now, given that they don't have much outside the top three, I think he's in the mix. I think what's going on right now in getting used to Mahomes, he's got traits that if you can exploit them consistently, he can be a guy that gets reps on offense every week. It's just about how well he places himself and makes himself available in the route to Patrick Mahomes. At the end of the day, it's all about what you do for 15. And I think he, as well as anybody else, can make that happen.
Yeah, for sure.
And his last name James, so we got to be like cousins or something down the line.
Of course.
Look, I don't have to personalize my jersey anymore. I hope he picks a good number.
0.
I am a King Felix guy. That's my guy right now. I also was a George Pickens guy, and they passed him twice and really hurt my heart. So if Felix is not there, or if he is there, we pass him. Can you sign me somebody else that'll make me feel just as good as Felix will make me feel?
At edge?
At edge, yes, sir.
At edge. I mean, there's a couple of guys. I like Felix a lot too, and he is not easy to replace. So that's a fair point. And I will tell you this, just so you can feel a little bit better about this going in. Felix and George are very, very different people from what I understand. George has what you might say is an attitude going. And from what I understand, Felix is a team first guy. And that's why he played inside so much this last year and did the best that he could when he really belongs as a 6 or all the way out to a 9, really, where I think he can get a run at a tackle. I think that's his best option to use his leverage and that kind of ways to attack. I do think Derek Hall's a decent player. I think he plays with more power than, say, Will McDonald does. Everybody wants to give the Chiefs Will McDonald lately, and he feels like a 3-4 outside linebacker to me, and it isn't a fit for this system as well. That said, Nolan Smith seems to be falling down the charts. I don't know why, but he's a 3-4 base guy. Like, he really should be a stand-up 3-4 outside linebacker, right? But he can rush out of any position, and it's up to Joe Cullen to make the change, right? I think we could see the Chiefs try to hybridize their defense a little bit more, be a little less predictable, and take a stuff back. And Mac will tell you about how he feels. I know he will. There's guys that you think can play in a system, and then there's guys you think you can make a system. And I think Nolan is a guy that you can put outside, and maybe you have to stack him. Maybe you got to protect him with a shifted tackle and play over so that he's a little bit freer, but he can make that pass rush. He's got enough bend that he can do things that we haven't seen in Kansas City for a very long time, something that I've been pining for. He's not going to be Von Miller. I'm not trying to say that, but he's got more than just bash the outside shoulder until the tackle collapses, which is what we've seen basically since Tamba went away. And I'm not bashing Spag's system. He uses power tackles for a reason. Lets them, and I call them tackles because they're not really edges because they don't go around anything. That's okay. But I would like to see the round the top combined with Chris Jones so that there's nowhere for the quarterbacks to go. That's what I'm looking for.
That's interesting because I was in the space yesterday and Sean Smith was in it, and he kind of has the same questions in regards to Spag's scheme. Like, he's not quite a fan of it, but at the same time, he kind of understands what Spag's doing, but he would like just to see just a little more, like you just mentioned. But it's interesting how you mentioned how Noah Smith has slid down, I guess, like mocks and ranks in the defensive end class. So I'm going to assume that teams might be concerned about that shoulder. Is that a possibility?
I don't think so. I think this is all media and fan-based mocks. The teams have him wherever they had him from the beginning. They couldn't care less. The fact that he's not going back to Indy for a recheck means that his shoulder has been cleared. And unlike who's their linebacker last year that had to go back and had some lingering issues that were going to take him into the season, I don't think there's any question about Nolan being ready to go by camp.
So okay. I don't know if it's a mock thing, but Miles Murphy is kind of sliding down too. Is that concerning or
not concerning to me? I like him in Kansas City, to tell you the truth. And what I hear about that one is that that's actually real. that maybe media, everybody outside organizations had him way higher than we ever thought, right? And that he really was a 20s kind of guy. He's somebody that I think he gets to like 23, the Chiefs might want to pull the trigger there because he is a Spags guy. He's got some explosiveness to him. He doesn't show it consistently. I would like to see that twitch more often from him, but he can play the power edge exactly how Spags want to. He's got good length. He'd always like it a little bit longer. You know, he's not a 36-inch arm guy, but he's got plenty, and he can do the job. And I do like the fact that that program that he comes from has been really high over the last 5 years and has come really far down. It makes me feel like he's hungry. Him and Brian have been running that defense for a while. I know they got a decent linebacker as well, but it's not what it used to be. And I think you put him in an environment next to Chris Jones to see how it's professional level. I think he grows into it. I think he becomes a guy that you can rely on.
Yeah, and I want to get to the comments here. I know Reggie asked about the guy from Georgia Tech, so his name is Keon White. I guess this is who he's asking about. So, I mean, what do you think about Keon White? Because I know his athleticism is pretty good.
It is. Where do you end up in the matrix? Matrix, he is number 2 on the D line. For the edges, I'm sorry. I like him better as a D tackle, though. I think, honestly, if Spags had retired and Joe Cullen was going to run this place, they'd go to a 3-4. He'd be a great 5 tech. I feel the same way about Lucas Van Ness, by the way. Both of them I like in the Chiefs system because I think they can do a little bit of everything, like we've seen Mike Dana, right, where Mike plays in at 3 tech and go all the way out to the edge if he needs to. I like them both. I just don't know about Keon in terms of, does playing him inside take too much away from his athleticism? I like him there, but I think some teams are going to want to leave him out on the edge because he's got enough athleticism that you don't want to like bottle him up. But in this case, in Kansas City, that's where Chris Jones plays. So he'd probably most likely either play that at opposite 3 or he'd play outside of him. And I just don't know if they're willing to make that investment in the first round. If he were to last at 63, I could see it pretty easily. I just don't think that he'll go that late.
Okay, so you see the upside in him more of at the defensive tackle spot. That's where he'll get the best of his ability if he moves to D tackle. Okay.
I think Chris Johnson's going to be playing pissed off again. I don't know why, but him tweeting out he wants to be MVP, that's going to, for a defensive guy to even be in that conversation, is going to take his historical season. So if he's going in with that mindset, you can put Ryan Tracy next to him, and it's going to benefit. I think Chris Jones is going to be a beast this year.
I like it, though, because it's the last thing that they can say, you're not Aaron Donald, right?
Right.
That's significant.
And Chris coming at that with that mentality, it's like, look, if he's coming with that mentality, I don't see how the Chiefs don't repeat this year if he's coming with that mentality. And as far as the MVP race goes, I mean, Aaron Donald got close before, J.J. Watt got close before, but, you know, this is such a quarterback-heavy league where it's going to be pretty tough to win MVP. But, you know, he was in the race for Defensive Player of the Year.
That's what I'm implying. The deck is stacked against him to be an MVP.
Right.
And you might be fighting the guy across the locker room from you most of the time. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, if he's coming with that mindset and he's working, and every time he's done a tweet, we'll be back, we'll be here next year, it's come to fruition. Not saying that's a hard ass for MVP, but he brings it. And he brings that argument. He brings that, I want to be Defensive Player of the Year. He brought it to the field last year.
I just hope he doesn't try to go to like the no-look sacks. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to try to be Mahomes. Just go get him.
So speaking of Mahomes, man. Speaking of Mahomes, Carson Palmer, he's insane with his bias, right?
He's a Bengal.
Bias, right?
He had to say that, bro. He had to.
Yeah. And I don't blame him. I wouldn't want to admit I played for the Cardinals either. I mean, that's okay. Just back your guy and roll with it.
Yeah, that's where I got from. I'm like, he played for the Bengals, so he's gonna say Joe Burrow, but it's insane. I mean, come on. But I get it.
And the evidence he uses that he takes less sacks, that's not actually accurate.
Right. I saw that too. I'm like,
come on, man.
Nah.
Just say you're a Bengal. Just get it over with. Great.
We'll respect that. Nobody would even raise an eyebrow if you said, hey, I'm riding with the Bengals, Joe Burrow. We've been asking our guys again, what was your favorite pick from last year?
Oh, I mean, Trent was high on my list going in. I had him as the number 11 prospect. So I was not only thrilled that he fell, but for them to actually see what I saw and want him enough to go get him, that was by far, vindication for me wanting to see that too. So yeah, easily my favorite pick.
Everybody has a different answer. Nobody's had the same answer.
That's good.
That means it was a great draft, right?
That's damn good class, right?
Yeah. Okay, so at the time, Trent, but afterwards, after the season, still Trent, or?
Yeah. I mean, he's going to be the anchor, right? Like, hopefully they get L'Jarius extended, but he's going to be the anchor.
Plus we stole him from Buffalo, so that just makes
that's
better,
another
right?
pick we stole from Buffalo. Crazy.
Hey, Buffalo brought in Dexter, the kid I like from Florida, the defensive tackle. So maybe we'll steal him too.
Maybe.
Good Ron Dexter. I've been high on Dexter, man. I'm like, listen, if Dexter come here, he can get coached up. He can get rid of some of those flaws he has in his game if he under Joe Cooling's coaching.
Yeah, for sure. And with Chris, I mean, who better to learn from?
Mm-hmm. Right. A motivated Chris?
Scary hours.
That sounds scary. Are we going to be actually celebrating our defense a lot more next season?
I hope so. I mean, everybody's gotten their turn in a rebuild, right? O-line, wide receivers, corners now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Defense doesn't work unless you got two opposing forces to push on, right? So you got to have that front to give them time now that they're fighting to give you time to get home, right? So it's a back and forth and a back and forth. I think that year 2 for the 3 rookie corners, I think is going to be a step forward that not only helps them, but helps the front get home. I think that's going to be the big difference.
Yeah, I believe that Trent McDuffie and Joshua Williams are going to look much better in their new numbers too. I just want to put that out there.
Yeah.
And by the way, we have yet to win a Super Bowl with a top 10 defense, by the way.
Yeah, well, someday.
So
So I can't let you leave without our other co-host Boogie. I'll believe it when I see it, and then it resets back to 0. So he's not as high on the corners room as we are.
Okay.
Do you think they need to add something to that corner room, or do you think it's kind of set? If they re-sign Snead, in my opinion, it's set. But let's say something happens.
Snead's the linchpin. And here's the thing. And this is what people are scared of. And they keep asking me, what happens if all the edges and the tackles and the wide receivers are gone and you're sitting at 31? You don't know what to do. They might take a corner. Ooh. And if they do, that means that L'Jarius is going to get paid so much that they're not sure that they can match. And that's what I'm nervous about. Because you're right. If L'Jarius is extended, he's there, you are set for a very, very long time. And confident in it, right? Now, that's not to say you can't add anyway, right? Because if you were to get a legit, like, super sudden, quicker nickel that lets L'Jarius go play back outside, and now Josh and Jalen are your backups, I mean, we're on fire, folks. They can go spread all day long. It don't matter.
Yeah, and I want to mention that Jalen Watson was a 7th round pick. I just want to mention how the Chiefs just killed the 7th round. Like, you rarely see that from an NFL team. They just killed the 7th round. Multiple picks.
Brett Veach was walking around with his shirt off all 3 drafts.
Was he like Conor McGregor and just did that little walk?
Watch what I'm about to do. No, Ryan. Who has knocked the draft out? He knocked it out the park last year.
2 years.
The last 2 years. Can he do it again?
Yeah. Because he's not alone. We always give him the credit that he deserves in good form, right? But Pat Sperduto's out there. He's been with this organization for a long time. When I was down at the Senior Bowl, the whole Chiefs contingency was there. A lot of young scouts, right? They need to learn, right? Trey Koziel left, went with Ryan Poles, two guys in the front office that left. Ryan Nutt's there, Pat Sperduto's there. You got a lot of area scouts that have been with the team too. They all have to put in that work to get Veach the information he needs to make decisions, right? So as much as Veach needs the credit, so does everybody else. And like they got some young scouts, I'm telling you. I saw at least 2 guys on this staff that I don't know, and they might be under 25. Like so they're bringing them up young too and learning the system. So it is a full system now that is going out and it's scouting and evaluating the Chiefs way now. And I think that's why we have a chance to see this not only go on for another championship, but another and another and another. It all goes back to Mahomes. Dynasty. Yeah, absolutely.
Ryan, I'm going to ask you this since Country did mention Brett Veach. Okay, so Brett Veach, ever since the first draft where it was pretty much a whiff, he's learned from that. He's got much better since then, right? Our Chiefs fans, but yet there's still some Chiefs fans that aren't quite satisfied. They still want to hold on to John Dorsey just a little bit. It's like, well, Brett Veach technically won with John Dorsey's guys. I'm like, yeah, there's still some of his guys here, but y'all act like Brett Veach ain't helped build the rest of the roster. I mean, he's done his job. So, like, are Chiefs fans, are they just holding on to John Dorsey just a little too much at this point?
I mean, you could make that argument. Veach found Mahomes, pushed Mahomes to Andy. Yes, Dorsey had to pull the deal together, right? Like Dorsey had to do the work. He deserves some credit there too. And I think, especially, and I'm not going to tell you all how old I am, but of people of my generation, let's say it that way, have a tendency to like those guys, right? And so, like, Brett Veach is a young dude, and I think some people might have a little problem like trusting in that. But I think you made a very good point. He had some problems early. And the big thing that I take away in watching this organization, and Mike Borgonzi doesn't get enough credit either. He's been right there with Brett Veach the whole time. They learn from their mistakes. And all these things that we see all the time, like these last wide receiver signings, right? It's so that they don't have to go out and get a wide receiver talent, right? They're covering their bases because they learned from having to go get Breland Speaks. They learned from having to go get McCole because they're panicked about Tyreek, right? It's being pushed into a corner where you have to do something that makes mistakes happen. And so now by covering all their bases, I think they've learned from their own mistakes how to really avoid that and take the best guys that you can do something with. That's the evolution of an executive and a whole organization.
So, Ryan, I'm going to ask you this. You the GM, you're Brett Veach. You're in the war room, 2023 NFL draft. Got the 31st pick. What you doing with it? You trading up? You staying there? And if so, like, who are you getting?
If it's me, I'm working the phones until I get a deal that I can live with. I don't know what that looks like. I personally wouldn't want to give up my second this year. So I need to get to a place. Maybe it's in the upper 20. I don't think you can get in the teens for just a third and maybe a fifth, something like that, which I'm more than happy to do. But you can get to 23 probably. You can do something like that. And I'm putting myself in position to take one of the top tackles or one of the top edges or one of my 2 wide receivers. That's it. Those are the only 3 positions that I'm interested in because there's talent elsewhere. The corners are deep. The tight ends are deep. Interior offensive line, you can get way later. You don't have to do that. The Chiefs have, of the top 5 positions on a football team, Chief needs new starters at 3 of them. Go sell out and get your guy. I don't care who it is. If you believe, go get him. That's what I would do.
Could they trade out the first round? Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's possible, but I kind of want to stay in the first round. And plus, the draft's in Kansas City, so I can't see them trading out the first round.
Yeah, we can't pull a Vegas, Reginald. We can't pull a Vegas. We can't.
I got to tell you, that's an interesting point, and I understand, and I do agree. I don't think Brett Veach cares. If there's nobody there worth taking and he gets a deal, he's gone.
I also agree with that too.
I mentioned, and Dan mentioned on your last episode how this could be a problem for the Chiefs at 31 because he mentioned how there's certain positions where they could be off the board, and then there's like a position where you may be like, okay, you may just have to trade up. You know what I mean? Because I think he mentioned like edge or tackles. I think he mentioned those 2 positions to where those positions could go by quick, and the receivers would just be left on the board. So.
Yeah. I have 2 grades in the first round for wide receivers. I have 5 first-round tackles. I think I have 5 first-round edges. It's not a lot, man. And that's 12 picks. If they all go, you're staring at yourself. Maybe you got a tight end on the board. Maybe you got a corner on the board. I personally think the next place that I go is probably defensive tackle, because I think there's a lot of interesting guys there. But that said, we talked about Keon before. I have him at tackle. I have Lucas Van Ness at tackle. I think those are their best spots. So I'm including them there, right? I do think Lucas Van Ness is a first-round player. I just don't think he's a top 15 player, top 10 player. I think he belongs in the 20s somewhere because, I mean, let's be real. The kid doesn't have that much experience. He doesn't know what the heck he's doing yet, but he's got power that you just can't buy. Steve Spagnuolo loves this dude. I'm telling you right now. If he's stomping on a table right now doing a river dance, it's for Lucas Van Ness. I'm 100% sure of that. But
yeah,
there's volume there. And this is going to be, especially in the second day, there's going to be a lot of those like small guys go, right? Like Tommy Adewale is going to go. I think Carl Brooks will probably go either late day 2 or early day 3, right? Kalijah Kancey isn't a first rounder on my board. Maybe somebody pulls a trigger there, but I think he's more likely to go in the 50 to 32 range, top half of the second. So there's defensive tackle possibilities if everything else gets picked clean. I just don't know what the league's going to do. They might fall in love with 17 quarterbacks. I hope Hendon Hooker gets up in there. I'm pulling for him because that knocks everybody else I want down.
More quarterbacks. I'm going for 5. We need
Nice.
5 to go. More quarterbacks benefits us. Ryan Tracy, man, you are a pioneer in this business. I tweeted earlier this week that I look towards you and BJ as not competition, or because we're not there yet. I look at you as inspiration to get better, to grind, to put in the work, and we really appreciate you. If you're not aware of Ryan Tracy, where have you been? But follow him, follow Dan. He got a great team around him. Seth is still on the channel, right? I need to talk. Call me Seth.
Yeah, we brought in Gary McKenzie from AP too. So like we got the whole group back together a little bit. So I appreciate you saying that. And you guys are doing a great job, and we'll keep you growing, and whatever I can do to help, I'm here for.
You are a godfather, and your word is gospel in this town. And we respect you. We look up to you. You inspire us, man. We thank you, really, for all the amount of time. And I know you're busy. I know you're on a media run. So
yeah, right.
God bless you, man. Have fun. I hope to see you at the draft. I will buy you a stout or whatever you drink.
I'll buy you a beer. Don't worry about it. Thank you guys for having me. I really do appreciate it. And think of me, at 2 a.m. when you get up or something, I'll still be looking at draft prospects.
Oh yeah, for sure.
When do you start? When do you start on next year?
Day after the draft.
That's what I'm saying, man. Who else would do that?
That's some dedication. That's some dedication, man.
Honestly, you can't do it any other way, or you're just behind from the get-go,
Wow.
I hear you. And by the way, nice hat, man. That's Mahomes logo, right? Hat.
Yeah, that's my guy. You can find it over on the RGR gear store. It's fun. I don't draw very well, but it turned out all right.
Yeah. I think you did fine.
Okay, yeah, that is the Paris and Seattle, the Sharkangic West.
It's about 6 different images, that I kind of like traced and put together and that kind of stuff. It's crazy.
I like that. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys. Take care.
Ryan.
No doubt.
Man. You too, man.
See you.
The great Ryan Tracy, man. The great Ryan Tracy.
Catch my Locked On Chiefs, Locked On Chiefs, RGR Football, all that good stuff. That's where you'll find the man on YouTube. So, yeah, as you see, Lenny's always interrupting the show. He always want to get in on the show.
Every time with the biggest guest. Hey, bro, chill. Okay.
So country, man, we getting pretty close, dude. We getting pretty close, man. So, and we got.
It's still not real yet, bro. It's still not real yet. But we getting there.
I think it will hit. I think it will hit once we actually there. Once we're actually there, I think it'll really hit right then.
I think when the pictures of with the stage and all that start coming out and what they building down there, I think when that hits, that's when it's gonna be real, man. So
have we already went to the playoffs?
Boy, yeah, we've been to the playoffs. Lord have mercy.
I heard that security got it pretty tight down there now since they try and get the stage together and everything. So I'm interested to see how it looks at the end of the day. It's gonna look pretty dope, man. So, and also I want to shout out my cousin Jayon Smith, Chef Jay. He's gonna be down there cooking up right in the, I guess, in the fan area. He's gonna be in the fan experience, I believe. So his company Sauce, they're gonna be part of the little food vendors going on down there to draft. So shout out to my cousin, man. Big deal for him. So congratulations to you, man.
Yeah, shout out to Chef Jay, man. I seen that. That's dope, man. He's a good cook too. Sauce
Yep,
restaurant
sauced.
down there. Where's he at? He got a permanent stand, or
Yeah.
he just do pop-ups?
Nah, it's permanent stand. It's like it's downtown. I can't remember the exact location, but I'll
Okay.
have that for you.
Oh man. So yeah, do the sponsors, bro.
All right, yeah, let's go on, get that out the way, get up out of here, man. So as you guys can see here, got the NBA playoffs going on right now. Atlanta's beating the hell out of Miami currently. We'll see if Miami comes back, but Homage got the NBA on Fire collection going on right now, and they also had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle collection going on right now. And then everybody knows, the Lakers they play after this game, so there's that. Got the logo collection. Still got time to get you some new gear for the draft. If you want to hit that up. You also got the MLB virtual helmets collection still going on. It's MLB season. Just went underway not so long ago, so we got that. And right now, their current special today is buy one get one 40% off site wide. So. And you also got a free gift on orders of $125 or more. So, copy some gear and pay homage.
Hey, homage. Jay was on Hell's Kitchen. Was he on Hell's Kitchen, or was that somebody else?
Yeah, he was on Hell's Kitchen. It was short lived, but he told me the background story about that, and it was like, okay, I get it. So,
Oh, okay. So I have really been asked to do this wrestling podcast. If you are interested in a possible wrestling podcast, tweet me. I don't know what I'm begging for, but I might put myself in a ugly situation. But if y'all down for that, let me know, because I need a certain amount of before we even get. I knew you was, and we're gonna talk, Kareem, because you one of the inspirations behind that. So we're gonna talk. But the draft 2 weeks away. We still got another 2 weeks, so we need some more guests, man.
we gonna get
I
them.
want
We
this.
gonna get them, bro. Don't worry about that. We gonna get them.
I
So,
think Dane Brugler might. Is that how you pronounce the name? Brugler? We get one of these mock draft guys. You know
that
who
name
we
sound
need to
familiar.
get. You know who we need to get?
Who's that?
Jay Binkley from 6'10". That's who we need to get.
I don't mind them.
Yeah. I know Kareem. Shout out to Kareem, but
Yeah,
yeah.
shout out to the day ones, man. Shout out to the day ones.
Shout out
Man.
to the day ones. Throw any suggestions y'all have for future guests. Please tweet at us or Kingdom Cast, including yourselves, everybody.
Shout out to DG, man.
So a lot of people want to join the podcast, man. We appreciate y'all. We are not looking for any host right now. We are very well and very stacked with our yo. That is a dream guest, Kareem.
Dude,
Absolutely.
we've been manifesting that for a minute. Cause did you see the clip of Rasheed Wallace the other day? I think it was last
Uh-uh.
week. He was coaching up one of his players in high school, and he was talking about how what these coaches and these scouts and these GMs are looking for in NBA players now. Like, you do all that fancy dribbling and stuff when you a star, but when you trying to get to the league, when you trying to keep a job,
Oh, the
you
shooter and
look.
the shooter, or what do you say? The shooter. Kobe was a shooter, and then what do you say? He was right though.
Yeah.
Hefe, who's Dan? I don't know. Dan who? Let me
Yeah,
know.
because I mean, we already got the Dan. He already had the Dan special guest not so long ago. So
Right. So Yeah, Rasheed Wallace is probably literally the biggest Chiefs fan in the world,
Mm-hmm.
literally. So it
Mm-hmm.
would be a dream to get somebody like man, bruh, it
Man,
would be
that show would be incredible. I'm sorry, that show would be incredible if we have Rashid on there, dog.
right.
Let me tell you
It
that.
would. It would. No, it won't be WWE bias. We will cover. Uh, that's what Kareem is for, to watch AEW. Jamal Charles would be a dream, yes, sir.
Yeah, he would be.
I absolutely want to get this is my dream though. I want to get a rookie from last year's draft and really just go through the whole process of preparing for draft day, the combine, actual draft night, when you got drafted, the party, the flying in the Kansas. I want to cover that whole spectrum. So this is a player that I got in mind, but I would any of them would be fitting, but
Hey man. Hey man, Boogie be back. He'll be back on Thursday.
right.
Shout out to Kylie too. They'll be back on Thursday. The whole crew will be back on Thursday, y'all. So
Yeah, I do got Josh in mind, DJ. That's actually that's one of the guys that I think.
hmm all
So
right. So
yes, sir, D man.
oh yeah, D man. Yeah.
When,
Look out for us, man.
when we come up with a spot, we will let y'all know. But we do need to come up with a spot where we can do some meet and just to shake hands with the people
hmm
and get more people involved. And
Yep.
we are trying to be the most interactive podcast. Like you got a lot of options for podcasts. There's a lot of great podcasts out there. KC Sports Network, RGR, Kingdom Says, Chiefs Concerns, Arrowhead Attic. It's a whole bunch of great guys out there.
Yep.
But
Arrowhead
we are trying
Allies.
to be, we want to be the most interactive. We are the streets, basically. Where real fans come and chill out, man. And that's what we need. A live draft show. Might be an option. Who knows? But hey man, like
we might have a live show soon. We might have a live show soon. Be on the lookout.
be on the lookout. So we do got a big announcement next week. Hey, All Chiefed Up Podcast. Yep.
Yep,
Shout
all
out to
cheaped
them
up
too.
podcast.
Kylie's
Yeah,
been on there a couple times, King Mo.
and,
So
and shout out
hey,
to
we
Cole
down to
too,
do
man.
podcasts too. Somebody calls us or wants to book us or and vice versa. Like we all about building bridges and not destroying them. So we have
Right.
no problem
And
talking to
also
other
want to shout
podcasts.
and I also want to shout Cole from How About Those Chiefs. He's had Kylie on there like a few times. But bruh, you get one us on there too. You know what I'm saying? I'm free.
Hey, shout
Nah,
out
shout
to
out to
how
Kylie
about
though.
those Chiefs? They boosted our audience a lot, man.
Yeah, they did. They really did. And we appreciate them, man. As we're getting close to 700 subscribers, we're at 675 right now. So we need 25 more. Get the word out for us, people.
Yeah, like, share, subscribe, man. Kingdom Cash, bro. Kingdom Cash. Juice, call me too. I need to talk to you, Juice. So yeah, Kylie is the queen. That's the
That's
girl
big
right
facts.
there. So
That's big
she's
facts.
working. She's working. Her birthday's coming up. Oh, we gotta do
hmm
something special for Kylie's birthday.
Yeah, her birthday is on the first night of draft, I think, or is it night
Yeah,
before? One of them.
yeah.
But
So
yeah,
she's
yeah,
gonna be
man.
she's gonna be vacationing. So but she's working hard at work so she can get that vacation. So shout out to Kylie, Boogie, um, and there we go. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep growing. We taking the stairs. We're not
Hey,
taking
hey,
the
hey, hey, hey,
elevator.
hey, 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 hey.
Oh, that's enough.
No, no, I was doing the Larry June because he said organic growth.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what that
Yeah,
meant.
yeah.
All right, man. Kingdom Cast. Like, share, subscribe. Come on, get us to 700, please. We appreciate y'all. Chuck, take us out, bro.
That's another one, people. Kingdom Cast. We out. See you on Thursday with Arrowhead Tom from Kingdom Says Podcast.
Arrowhead Tom.